In my time as a newspaper and magazine photographer, I used to keep a camera case by the door, with everything I might need for an assignment, so I could just pick it up and go. In those days, the case contained a couple of Nikon f-bodies with 24, 35, 85, 180 and 300mm lenses, plus an 80-200 zoom, and a 1.4x converter. The fact was that you sometimes needed a 400mm lens, but the 300 would be used on most assignments. Carrying a 3 and a 400mm was simply impractical in terms of 1. Excess baggage costs when flying, and 2. Wear and tear on my back. In that order, as far as picture editors were concerned. Enter the 1.4x converter. You lost a stop, so your 300mm f4.5 became a relatively slow but still usable f6.3, but image quality wasn't affected too badly. It was almost something for nothing, and it added capability to your outfit out of all proportion to the size and cost. And now for Micro Four Thirds, enter Olympus's take on the 1.4x converter. It only fits the 40-150mm f2.8 Pro zoom up to now, because the front element protrudes into the host lens, and other MFT lenses don't have the necessary clearance. It is built to the same tough standard as the Pro zoom, weather sealed and in metal. When fitted, it looks and feels an integral part of the lens. There is absolutely no play of any kind when mounted, and of course it retains full autofocus and exposure control. Basically, you couldn't ask for more. There's not much to describe mechanically, but there's a red dot for lining up the mount and a release button for unmounting it, that's all. The modified aperture and focal length are reflected in the camera shooting information on screen and in the EXIF files. The price is about £300 UK, but if you buy it with a lens it will cost half that. Fitting the converter gives you a 56-210mm zoom, but in practice most people will use the converter plus Pro zoom as a straight 210mm f4, since you already have a 150mm reach with a stop extra speed with the non-converted zoom. Practically speaking, the 1.4 gives you a 150-210mm zoom, since you had the rest anyway. That 150 through 210mm augmentation does enable you to finesse your framing though. Does it perform as well as it feels? Here are some comparison shots. There appears to be very little difference in apparent sharpness with converter on or off, and it's only at 100% viewing that a very slight overall softening is apparent. Most impressive is that edge sharpness is retained. If I enlarge the 150mm image to match the lens plus converter's 210mm, the converted image has the edge. That's good because otherwise, with a lens as sharp as the Olympus Pro Zoom, you might just as well enlarge a non-converter frame, though that would enlarge any noise present too. As it is, the converter not only gives you a bigger image, but a better one too, so it really does enhance the functionality of its senior partner. The converter has quite a hard task actually, because as with all tele-zooms, the weakest performance is always at the longest end, and you are likely to compound that by using it with the lens wide open. Focusing speed is the same, that is to say very fast, with the converter fitted or not. If you handed the combination to someone without telling them it was fitted, they'd never know. Purple fringing, vignetting, distortion and all the other gremlins are no more apparent with than without the converter, and given the refined optical performance of the base lens, immaterial. One thing I should add. Although the converter only works with one native Micro Four Thirds lens so far, if you use DSLR lenses with an MFT adapter on your camera, the adapter will allow you to use the MC-14 with any of them. Here's my Nikon 300mm f4.5 with and without. It works very well, giving me a 420mm f6.3, 840mm is an old money. That is seriously long. Here's a video using it. Given all this, I can only say that the MC-14 converter really is a worthwhile buy at £299. At half that bought with the lens, it's a steal. Summing up, the MC-14 is to the 40-150 Pro Zoom as a pilot fish is to a shark. It's a symbiotic relationship from which both benefit. Pardon me if I go into one of my little songs of praise for the Micro Four Thirds equipment, but I mentioned my outfit in a case by the door, ready to go. That was 5 lenses and a converter for an f4.5 300mm. I always had a 300mm f2.8 Nikkor, but superb as it was optically, it was a big, heavy, unwieldy monster, and as a result rarely in my camera bag. And now look, just 2 lenses and a converter cover the same range, but the 2.8 is always in there, and the 400mm is a stop and a half faster. It's me saying it, but I still have to query it. Can it really be so? Yes, it can. I suppose you could say I'm converted. Thanks for watching.